I really did.
You did. And actually, you sent it at 8:39 in my phone, or in my emails.
Okay.
You actually sent it before 9 o'clock. Sorry, though, I wasn't. You know, when I get here,
I didn't even know that.
emails.
Yeah, I thought that was. I didn't know. Do I even have your phone number? I don't even think I have your phone number.
Did I give that out?
I'm wondering if I put it in my phone. Let me see.
Oh, yes, you do.
Oh,
Sorry,
I do, because we were texting back and forth.
Oh, yeah,
before.
I got it.
Yeah.
All right. No, I didn't think of sending you a text. All right.
Okay, and Janelle, I think we're ready to start.
Okay.
And I think I mentioned this already. If you can open up GCF Learn Free,
No.
we're actually going to go through some basic things about functions and formulas. And so under the list of things under Excel 2016, the first one we're going to go to is number 13, Introduction to Formulas. These first couple may be pretty simple, but I think it's a good reminder on, it's funny because in Excel and D-metrics and everything else, they sometimes say formulas for everything.
Oh.
Formulas are just really the simple things like 2 plus 2. Oh, you got that stuff popping up too. I'm sorry about that. That's
So that's okay. What number 13?
number 13 is what we're going to go into.
13.
And we'll play with the practice workbook in a minute, but I'm going to open up the video first. I think. It worked an hour ago. Doesn't begin to try restarting the device. Great.
So, I mean, I'm not sure what website am I supposed to be on? edu.
Sorry, Dad, I'm on this retry. What happened to her son?
So I have a general question for you
Okay,
on formulas.
stop for a minute then.
When you put the equal sign, and sometimes you put equal and then sum, and then, the formula, and then sometimes you just put the equal and do your formula in parentheses. Why do you have to put the word sum in?
I guess it depends on if it's a more complex formula or function, you might have to do that. If it's simple, you just click on the icon that says auto sum,
Yeah,
and it'll put in that
Right.
for you.
I guess I'm writing in the formula bar, sometimes you have to
Uh-huh.
write the word sum, and then other times it just go straight to the formula.
Yeah, I think, and let's see if I
Am
can
I
get this
missing something
working.
here?
This is strange because I had it working before. Wish I could tell right away there because we're not hearing it. I don't know why.
How do you get on this website?
So I adjusted it too because I had it too loud. I got out to speak too loud.
There, I find sometimes I don't have the computer put on, but the video volume is up.
What's going on? Sorry about this delay. This is something that should be happening. Get set up there. Okay, well, I'm going to pop all the way out of it, see if that helps. Oh, I added it twice. Now, this is bizarre. Why are you not working? This is very strange. I think what I'm going to do is just open up the practice workbook and walk through it, see if the next video works or not. I planned on showing 13, 14, 15, 16 today, which are the ones about formulas and then about absolute and relative values and then about functions. So largely what she was showing in the video was something like this. This is a real simple thing. So we're looking at here, we've got a quantity and a unit price, and we want to find out how much the total cost will be for that. So we start out with an equal sign. A little bit larger. So equal sign, and then you can type this in, but I'd rather just point click. So B4, and I'm hitting the plus bar. Oh, I'm sorry. I want a plus. I want to multiply. So B4 times that unit price. I'm going to hit enter. It gives me grand total. Nice thing about formulas and functions is that we can use the pull handle in the bottom corner and drag it down, and it will just carry that formula on down. We'll see this in a couple.
Can you do the autofill too, like double clicking?
Yeah, we could.
And how does it know how far to go? I was wondering that
It's going to
the other
guess.
day when I was working.
See, in this case, it didn't know, so it went down to the
Okay.
total line too.
Okay.
And it also wiped out the formatting.
Yeah.
In tables, it won't do that, but in this is just a spreadsheet here with not anything else in it, so then it didn't know what to do.
Okay.
So yeah, in a case like this, maybe it's easier to drag it down.
Mhm.
If you had the word down here like total or something like that, bless you, it's words or other things would stop it too. Or if we only had, say 10 rows of information, it would stop at row 10 probably.
Oh, all right. Yeah, it's based on the number.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing she shows in the video is we've got these two values here for June and July budget. So we could just type in equals 1,200 plus 1,400. But as she points out in the video, it's a lot better to use the point and click or the cell references. It's pulling up my D11. So I'm actually going to use the formula bar up here to do it. So D10 plus D11 and enter. Of course, in this case, we can see very easily what it did. The nice thing about using cell references, though, rather than putting in 1200 and 1500, if we change this and to some other number, it automatically recalculates it. That's pretty handy. And I think I might have mentioned this, when you highlight over a range, way down at the bottom here, it shows you average, count, and the sum. So you can actually use that sometimes as a double check. Oh, sum's pretty much.
Right. Okay, I forgot about that.
Those little buttons, those little summaries down there are handy sometimes. Especially when we're in geometrics, we're not quite sure what they're asking us to do. Or we are sure, but we want to double check it anyway.
Yeah.
So that's basically what she was going to show in this one. Now there's a challenge tab in here, which is basically pretty much the same thing. I'm playing with it, but if you can call this up on yours, you can play with it too. I'm sorry, I didn't say that. Well, this is number 13, and the practice workbook is right above the video. It's called practice workbook, and you always get the yellow bar on there that asks you to enable editing.
Whatever color.
Yeah, we need to get a new screen over there. I think it's just the screen that's, when screens die, they start losing some of the gradations and stuff.
Okay, what do they want us to do?
And Jail, are you with us now?
Yes,
So we're in.
I've been with you guys. Can you hear me?
If my sound got goofed up.
Can you
So
hear
you
me?
want us to do a similar
Yeah, just
calculation?
pretty much what I did there.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello? I don't know what's going on with this.
And Jail, I can't hear you. If you're there, I think you're muted.
I'm not muted. I don't know what's going on.
Can you hear us? Can you hear me?
We should get tested.
I'm not sure what's going on. Well, if you can hear me, were you able to open up this GCF Learn Free? This is number 13 into the formula section. Something's going on with my sound here, so it doesn't seem to be working quite right.
Can you hear me now?
Under GCF Learn Free, under the basic Excel 2016 basics, we're going down to number 13, which is about introducing formulas. And I couldn't get the video sound to work, so that's why I'm just walking through this. Within each of these, just above the video is this practice workbook. You can open that. That's what we're playing with here. So we had that first sheet, which was just largely putting in the multiplication here. This is one thing about relative references that we'll talk about in 2 slides or 2 videos. It knew that what it was really looking at was the 2 cells to the left of our line total. So when I move down, it does the same thing. So this is handy because this is why we can copy the formulas down, because it keeps that location reference the same.
This is stupid.
See in a couple moments that it doesn't always work. If we had like percentage tags that we're adding in, we always wanted to pull from one cell. Where locking in the cell, as I call it, is helpful. So here I'm just doing the same thing on the challenge. Basically, I'm going to multiply the quantity by the unit price.
Hello?
I got 56.25. In this case, they actually have something down here in line 8. And if I look up here, I see there's a formula in there to add up D4, D5, D6. Well, that's almost good enough, but actually that formula wouldn't quite work because it would be missing whatever we put in D7. So I can still do the clicking down there. It gave me everything in there, but if I add up these first three, I'm going to see, yeah, that's the 132.57. It's the formula they put in here was not quite complete. So if I wanted to do it the way they did there, I'd probably go plus my formula bar and then add in D7. Now we get the right total, which would be $158, and that not just the total of the first three.
It's saying if you want to check all the formulas in your page, you can do control and then accent graph. And I don't see that on the keyboard here.
Control and what?
I said accent graph. Show all the formulas in a spreadsheet. You can hold the control key and press this little hatch mark, graph accent. Graph accent key is usually located in the top left corner of the keyboard. Not see it. You can press control again to switch back to the normal key.
Okay, that's one I'm not so familiar with. Where is that?
It's just before the challenge.
Before the challenge? Let me go down there and see if I can see it.
There it is. To show all the formulas in a spreadsheet, you hold the control key and press X.
Oh, that's interesting. What I've done, I'll show you what I've done. Pardon me?
I did that, it adjusted the cells.
There's actually a view that you can use to show all the formulas.
Okay.
And so that's what I'm familiar with, which is probably going to do the same thing that does. And it's under formulas, I believe. Used it for a bit.
Show formulas. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Are you seeing it?
I see it. Yeah. That's show formulas. Under formulas, under formula auditing.
Okay, I got an icon instead of a full thing here.
Oh.
Show formulas. Okay.
Yeah.
And what that does, it'll show you everywhere that you've got formulas in that
Right.
spreadsheet.
Right.
And then
Where's the show formulas?
it's one of the little icons, actually the top icon right here. I think.
Okay. I thought that one with Tracy.
Yeah, no, they're separate. Click on that, and then it actually shows you the formulas that are in there for.
Yeah, and that
Itself.
control thing did the same thing.
Did the same thing?
Yeah, and then if you hit it again.
That's good to know.
What is the control thing?
The control accent or the tilde, control tilde.
Okay.
It does,
Okay,
it did
I
the
got
same
it.
thing.
All
I'm
right.
surprised it adjusted the
I got
column width, but it probably made room to show the phone.
Yeah, it splits it out.
But then when you
Actually-
hit it again, it takes it away.
Yeah, it takes it back. Okay.
So which key did you use to take it back?
The same key, control.
This.
Oh, this one. Okay.
Yeah.
The new first time. And by the way, one of the things I like too is that you can click on a cell. If you double click on it, it'll show the formula in there too.
Oh,
So by double clicking on the grand total one there, I can see I got D4, D5 plus D6 plus D7. Likewise, I could do it further up. That's why when I double clicked earlier,
But if you're doing something like that, it's better to use the sum in case you insert rows. Because
Oh, yeah.
when you insert a row, it
and that's what the next video will talk about. You know, formulas are
Can you
fine.
guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, I had to restart my computer. I didn't know what was going on.
Oh, okay. We're playing with GCF Learn Free right now, so if you can open up GCF Learn Free.
And I'm just on there. Okay, give me 1 second.
Yeah, that's true. That's where what they're going to talk about in a little bit is that formulas are great for a small bit of stuff, like 4 rows. But if we had 300 rows or 20 rows even, like you were saying too, if we're going to add things in there, insert new stuff, having the function in here for AutoSum is going to work a lot better.
Right.
Actually, sitting on the cell right now, it is in the formula, but I could click on AutoSum and it's going to decide, okay, this is what you want. They actually, by clicking on AutoSum, to your question, Martha, it actually put the equal sign in there. I
Yeah.
just clicked on the icon
Okay.
and then put in this cell range,
Mhm.
D4 to D7. So it's pretty good at guessing the right ranges. Not
And it's
always.
pretty easy to adjust too, because it zooms up and down. If you want it to cross, you can just easily
Oh, yeah,
click and drag and change.
it wasn't the
sign,
right range.
You're on 13, right?
Oh, we're on 13, yeah. I'm actually looking at the Excel worksheet. It's called Practice Workbook, I believe. Just above the video. By the way, that's a good thing to point out since we're scrolling down through here. They've got screenshots of everything below the video. So if the video is hard to follow, or if you want to stop and just look at one section, you can always go down to the screenshots below and see exactly what they're
Okay.
doing. There are some examples here too, where it's showing, addition, subtraction, division. Now we can do that these are formulas. Like I say, later they're going to mix up formulas and functions, but functions are things like the average or add sum, count, all the different ones that are fairly common. Well, actually, I hope I'm done with this one, so I'm going to try to do the next one. Maybe we'll see if we get the sound, because we lost the sound there. So, a little bit about more complex formulas.
Creating foundation, creating opportunities for learning.
I got sound now.
You may
Rebooting her
already have
computer
some
helped
experience
yourself.
creating simple
Yeah.
formulas that have only one type of operation. But sometimes you have to create more complex formulas that do have more than one operator. For example, addition and multiplication. To do this correctly, you'll need to understand how Excel is calculating the answer. When solving formulas, Excel uses a set of rules called the order of operations, which you might remember from math class. The
I
order
didn't.
of operations determines the order in which
Oh,
the
got it.
rules are calculated, so you know exactly how to write it out. The first thing that's calculated are any equations in parentheses. Then, if you have any exponents, you'll calculate those. Next is multiplication and division. And finally, addition and subtraction. Excel knows to use the order of operations whenever it calculates a complex formula. It's important that you remember it so you can create formulas that'll give you the correct answer. To remember the order, you can just use the acronym MDOTS. Or to make it even easier, remember the phrase, "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally."
Some of my students actually
Let's
knew
take a
that,
closer look.
Really?
or their kids knew it.
Yeah.
I was like, really?
In this formula, 5 plus 2 is in parentheses. So we'll calculate that first to get 7. And then we can just multiply 3 times 7 to get 21. This formula contains an exponent, 3 to the power of 2. We'll need to calculate that first, and then we can do the addition. If you have multiplication or division, that'll come next. Here we multiply 2 times 4 to get 8, and 9 minus 8 equals 1. Now multiplication and division are considered to be on the same level. That means if you have both of them in your formula, they're calculated from left to right. In this example, we'll do the division first, and then the multiplication. If we wanted the multiplication to happen first, we could just put it in parentheses, or we could rearrange the formula so the multiplication was on the left. Finally, we have addition and subtraction. Just like multiplication and division, these are on the same level, so we'll calculate them from left to right. Okay, now let's put them all together. This formula may look really complicated, but we're just going to go step by step through the order of operations, and you'll see that it's really not that bad. We'll start with the parentheses. We'll calculate each of these to get 2 and 3. And as you can see, the formula is already starting to look a bit simpler. Next, we'll look to see if there are any exponents in this formula. There is one, 2 to the second power. When we calculate it, it becomes 4. Next, we'll do the multiplication and division, going from left to right. And now all that's left is addition. And that gives us our answer, which is 8.75. And that's the same answer Excel would give you if you entered that formula in your worksheet. Now I'm going to show you why it's so important that you follow the order of operations every time. If you don't, your formulas won't give you the correct answer. In this example, I'd like to add these three values and find out how much the sales tax will be. I'll start by typing the equal sign, which is how you always start a formula. Then I'll calculate D3 plus D4 plus D5. Next, I'll multiply by 0.075, which is the tax rate at 7.5%. Now, this may look like it's going to give us the correct answer, but it's not. That's because we didn't follow the order of operations. Remember, multiplication comes before addition, so Excel is going to multiply D5 by 0.075 first. Then it'll add D3 and D4, which isn't what we want. We want these three values to be added first. So to do that, we just need to put them in parentheses. Parentheses are often the best way of controlling which parts of the formula are calculated first. And when this formula is calculated, we can see that the answer is $20.56. Writing complex formulas really isn't that difficult once you know how they work. Just remember to use the order of operations and you'll get the correct answer every time.
Typically, we won't be using complex formulas, I don't think that much. But it is good to know that order of operations.
Or to look for why a sheet isn't working. So you want to look at somebody's formula and see why it's not working.
Yeah.
Because apparently that happens a lot.
So I'm going to go, I don't know if we need to play with this one much because it is pretty simple. I'm going to open up the practice workbook anyway, just to getting what's in there. Okay. Yeah, oh, I forgot to close my other one. So you can go ahead and close the other one if you got that open. It's going to look somewhat similar to what she just showed us. See? Exactly like what she just showed us. And I have a couple other things to calculate in here. This has got a couple extra sort of challenges, I guess you'd say. So for this one, what we want to do first is just add up these three totals. It's D3, D4, D5. We're multiplying by 0.075, which is tax rate. And I'm going to go ahead and hit enter just to show what it does, because what it did basically was multiply 159 by 7.5%. Then it added this 113 from the first two. Of course, that's not quite right. We have more tax than we need on there. I'm going to double click on it again and do as she did and put these first three additions in parentheses. I like what you said. Parentheses are often the easiest way to control what we've got going on. Now when I get enter, I get that $20.56. I got a couple other things in here. They got one called catering subtotal. And this is not how I would have worked this out, because I think this makes it a little more difficult. Basically, they took away our line total. They want us just to calculate both of these and then put the tax in it. So this is actually...
Would that be two sets of parentheses or just...
Yeah, this is going to be a little more complex. So what I'm going to do is an equal sign first. I'm going to multiply B3 by C3. And actually, because the order of operations is going to do that first, I'm just going to hit the plus sign and then multiply B4 by C4. That's actually going to give me the right thing, because in this case, it did the multiplication first. So multiplied that first line, and then I added to the second line, which after it multiplied. So it actually is going to do that multiplication first. So order of operations there works okay. Now they've made it a little crazier here. They want a total with tax. I could tell you how to do this, but how do you think we would do this? We'll assume the 7.5% tax.
Wait a minute. We could do C5 times 0.075, or, you know,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Plus,
C5 times 0.075. You can put times in there.
plus C5.
And then plus C5 again.
plus
I
C5
did that
again?
wrong.
Why C5 again?
Let me start over. Well, they want the total with the tax added in there, so they want the 143 plus the tax. It's not,
Oh, I see.
what I would have done is had a line just for tax and then
Yeah.
total.
Mhm.
But they want you to practice the
Yeah.
plus.
And it's gotta be in parentheses, right?
No, because the multiplication is
Actually,
first.
yeah, it's gonna it's gonna do that 7.5% times C5 first, and then it's gonna add in 143 again.
But I like to put the parentheses in just to make sure it's clear when you're trying to look at your
Yeah,
formulas.
that's a safe way to do it. It's gonna do this multiplication first,
Mm-hmm.
but you're right, you're making it extra sure by putting parentheses around it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so that you can, it's easier to read and validate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it totally is easier.
Like I said, what I would have done, I wouldn't have done it this way. I'd have inserted a row in there and had the
Yeah.
tax
Show
here,
Show what you're doing, yeah. Show your work is.
put tax in there, and then I would have done just a simple thing here, multiply that
Mm-hmm.
by the 0.075. Down here, I'd have just had total of those two.
Right.
Which again will give us the same thing, but here it's a little easier to read, know what we're doing. Oh, we got $10 of tax.
Mhm.
Not just some
Giant number.
vague number somewhere. Now we got one more challenge in here, and this time they actually did split it out a little bit more, but they also want us to put a 10% discount on it. So it's a little more interesting. So it gave us the tax line, the total, and total after discount. I might have rearranged this too, because I would think they would give, well, maybe they did give the discount with the tax in there. Apparently in this case they did.
So yeah, they wanted you to tax it with the original.
So I'm adding up those four values. I'm going to go ahead and put them in parentheses, because we already know what's going to happen if I don't. And 0.075. I got $24 for the tax, looks like.
I had those pop-ups come up my thing. So,
And what, how much discount?
Oh, I haven't put that in yet. Did you put that in?
No, but this just was one.
And here we got five numbers. This is where I would probably use the auto sum, but if we do it with the formula, we can just do the equals and then add up
formulas wrong.
all four or five of these.
How come I can't do D3 semicolon through D6? Why do I have to do plus, plus, plus?
Because we're doing sums right now, we're not doing functions. If we want to do a function, we could use the auto sum, which is a function, and it would do the
All right,
equal sum.
all right.
That's why I say, formulas are actually kind of limited, which is why it's great that we got lots and lots of functions that'll do more complex work for us. We're only up to 5 lines here, but if this was 30 or 40 lines,
Yeah,
I would want to do D3 plus D4 plus D5 plus D6, which is what they're actually going to tell us in the function.
248. What? I did some.
So,
Not sure what I'm doing wrong. It won't add up.
Okay, what do you have for D7?
There's nothing. It says tax, but there's nothing there.
Yeah, well, we're typing in a formula in column D. So what I put in there was an equal sign, and then D3 plus D4 plus D5 plus D6. I put that whole thing in parentheses, so add them up first. So the order of operations is telling us it's going to do multiplication before addition. So
0.075. Oh, it did it.
okay, good.
2415.
And then on line 8, just to keep it with the formula idea, I basically added up all 5 of those cells above. So D3 plus equals D3 plus D4 plus D5. And then that gave me the 346.10. I want us to discount it by 10%. So actually all I'm going to do here is equals that grand total times 0.1, which is 10%. Now, if I just hit enter now, okay, I can see that's 10%, but that's actually not what I want. I want to take that off of the grand total.
Right, it's giving you the total amount.
Oh, see, I was making it really complicated.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually edit my formula a little bit and put D8 in there again, minus that tax at 34. And if I could put parentheses in here to be safe, but I don't really have to. Again, I know it's going to do the multiplication first of that 10%, and then subtract it from the 346. So I did D8 minus D8 times 0.01.
So they're doing 10% discount on
On the grand total.
with the tax.
So, and again, to be safe, like you were saying too, I'd probably put the D8 times that 0.1 in parentheses just to make sure it does it first. But Excel's going to follow that order of operations. So it's going to do the multiplication before the subtraction. So that's helpful.
You can have 2 equal signs in a,
No, I was just double clicking on it wrong.
oh,
It's actually just one. But yeah, how did I get that?
because you got D8 minus D8 times 01. So D8 times 01,
Yeah, so that's doing that first,
uh-huh,
and then it's subtracting that from
the whole thing. So
the whole
then
thing. I end up with 311.49 for the total after discount. I think it's interesting they did after taxes because I think usually, well, maybe they do that. I don't know. I think they leave the tax alone. They usually have to tax on the total, which we did.
Before, the discounts on it usually.
I think they use a discount if it just the total. But anyway, so that's a little bit about getting a little more complex with formulas. So I'm going to go ahead and close this now because I think we're good with that. Close the other one. Let's save it.
Oops.
I'm going to go to number 15 now, which is about relative and absolute cell references. This is one I kind of like. And once we're done with this, actually, I think we may go to chapter 4. Did you go through chapter 4 and the exercises in there? I think we'll go through that together then.
Foundation, creating opportunities for learning. There are 2 main types of cell references in Excel, relative and absolute. Both behave differently when copied to other cells, either as part of a formula or a function. Relative references are the default, and probably the type you're going to use for most of your formulas. In this example, I need to know the total cost of each menu item on the invoice. To do this, I'll need to multiply the values in these 2 cells. I'll just enter my formula here. Start by typing the equal sign, and then the formula will be B4 times C4. When you're done, press enter on your keyboard. Now if I use the fill handle to copy this formula to all of these cells, we can double-click each copy and see that the cell references have changed automatically. So we have B5, B6, B7, and so on. That's because these are relative references. In other words, when Excel looks at our original formula, What it actually sees is the location of the cells relative to the location of the formula. That means in this case, it's looking at the two cells to the left of our current location, and those just happen to be B4 and C4. Each copy is also looking at the two cells to the left of the formula. This technique is useful because it means we can copy the formula as we did here, and the cell references will sort of move along with it. The references don't even have to be in the same row. They can be anywhere in the sheet. There may be times when you don't want the cell references to change. Take this version of the invoice. I've added a column where we can list the sales tax for each item. We should be able to enter our formula here, then copy it to the rest of the list. To get started, I'm going to enter B4 times C4 in parentheses.
I
Then I'm
didn't have
going
to
to
do that.
multiply by cell
Plain
E2,
and safe,
which
isn't it?
contains our tax rate at 7.5%, which is the same as 0.075. Next, I'll use the fill handle to copy the formula to the rest of these cells. But wait, that doesn't look right at all. It's even affecting the formulas in the rest of the worksheet. The first copy of our formula is correct because it's multiplying by E2, which contains our tax rate. But as we go down the list, we can see that the reference is moving in relation to the cells, which isn't what we want. We want it to stay frozen on E2 for each copy of the formula, and for that, we'll need to use an absolute reference. Absolute references have a $sign placed before the column, row, or both to keep them from changing when you copy the formula to another cell. To keep the column and the row from changing, place a $sign in front of both. To keep only the row from changing, place a $sign in front of the row only. To keep only the column from changing, place a $sign in front of the column. Most of the time, you'll be using the first type of absolute reference, the one where there's a $sign before the column and the row. Let's go back to our example and add $signs before the column and the row to make E2 an absolute reference. Now if we copy the formula to the rest of this list, the errors go away and we're left with the correct sales tax for each item. The relative reference is different at each cell, but the E2 reference, our absolute reference, stays the same. Finally, I'd like to show you how to create cell references across different worksheets in the same workbook. This can be useful if you want to create a formula on one worksheet that references a value from another. It works the same as a normal reference. You just have to include the name of the worksheet along with the cell address. So to get started, figure out what cell you want to use, then take note of its location. In this example, we're going to use cell E14 on the worksheet menu order. Next, switch to the worksheet where you want to use the reference. As you can see, I already have a formula that's calculating the total of all these services. I just need to add the total for the menu order in this cell here. To reference the cell, type the name of the worksheet first, then an exclamation point.
By the way, that's the manual way to do it. I would point and click, and we'll see that in a minute. We actually play with it. She typed that in. If you got a space in your title for the
Worksheet.
tab, yeah, you actually have to put small quotes around it. If it had just said menu, you would need to type in or put the quotes around it.
Okay.
And then the exclamation point after it. That's the way it's set up. That's not the way, like I said, that's not the way I would have done it.
And finally, this.
Oops. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's get back. Where are we?
0.5%, which is it's even affecting the formula. Absolute references have it. To keep only the column from changing. Now, reference, our absolute reference, stays the same.
I think I'm close to where we were.
Finally, I'd like to show you how to create cell references across different worksheets in the same workbook. This can be useful if you want to create a formula on one worksheet that references a value from another. It works the same as a normal reference. You just have to include the name of the worksheet along with the cell address. So to get started, figure out what cell you want to use, then take note of its location. In this example, we're going to use cell E14 on the worksheet menu order. Next, switch to the worksheet where you want to use the reference. As you can see, I already have a formula that's calculating the total of all these services. I just need to add the total for the menu order in this cell here. To reference the cell, type the name of the worksheet first, then an exclamation point, and finally the cell address. If the worksheet name includes a space, like in this example, you'll need to add single quotation marks around the name. When you're done, press Enter, and Excel will pull the value from the other worksheet. That means if cell E14 ever changes on the menu order worksheet, it'll be updated here too. Mastering cell references is the key to creating formulas that work for you and your data. Now you know how to use relative references, absolute references, and references across multiple worksheets.
So the way to do it with keystroke is when you hold Shift down and you go to the next page.
I'll show you in just a
Okay.
second here. Go ahead and open up
That's the
that.
exclamation point.
If you do the point and click, it actually does all that for you. That's why I would rather do equals and then point to E14 on the other worksheet, because then it'll put in menu order in single quotes
Okay.
and the exclamation point.
Okay.
What's the purpose of the exclamation point?
It's just the style or the setup for pulling in from another worksheet. So let's go ahead and open up this practice workbook. It's going to have a few extra things in there too for us. So menu order, this actually has 4 different worksheets in there, 4 different tabs. So menu order is actually the second one in there. And I like to do kind of what she did just to show how it doesn't work if we don't. And she talks about absolute values. I talk about locking in a cell. So eventually we want to lock in that 7.5%. I'm going to start out doing the normal thing of adding the unit price times the quantity times that 7.5%. Now, actually this will work, although she put the first 2 in parentheses just to make sure it did it that way. But the order of operations is going to do left to right for 2 multiplications. It'll still give us the right number. I agree, though, sometimes it's easier to play it safe. Never learned PEMDAS, or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Some of my students that remember that, or some of the students whose kids have seen that somewhere. And just like with hers, if I drag it down right now, it's just going to totally mess up everything, because as you'll see that instead of staying with E2, it's moving on down the line here, pulling in other things, sometimes the number, sometimes value, like didn't know what to do. Like here, it didn't know what to do with line total. It's a word. That's why we got this pound value thing in there. Going back to the first one, what I need to do then is lock in that E2. And we can do that by a $sign in front of each, in front of the E and in front of the 2. I'll hit enter. My 336 still looks the same, but now when I drag it down, everything's going to work right. And actually, because we've got the word total, I could have done the fast fill too. I will. Just double click on it. Boom. Carries them down. And they've got a formula over here that's actually multiplying these first 2 to come up with the total and then adding the 4 to it. So they didn't put parentheses in there, but it's the order of operations is going to do the right thing anyway. And they cheated down here. They actually used the function. They used sum down here for the grand total. And that E14 is what we want to bring into that total invoice. So what I would typically do, it's not type like she did, but I would put in the equal sign where we want to have that food and beverage total. Then I would point to the menu order and click on that E14 and hit enter. Boom, it pulls it in. Now if I double click on it, you'll see that it did exactly what she did typing, putting in equals and the single quotes, menu order in there, and then the exclamation point. It automatically does that. Way back when I was younger and working at the region office, UPS, this is where I became impressed with a young lady that was a mouser, and we had a file that had like, I don't know, maybe half a dozen or a dozen different spreadsheets within that one. She was using her mouse and going and linking things back and forth, zip, zip, zip. And I thought, wow, that's pretty.
Was it control or shift that you did?
I did nothing. Did equals, and then I pointed.
Ah,
So in that cell, I just clicked on equals, and then I went to the menu order, clicked on that cell, and
okay,
hit enter.
okay. All right.
Now we've got a little more to do in here. Like I'm looking at paper goods now, that catering invoice, and it's just a typed in number. I can tell that because like up here I just see 11087. We got paper goods out there. I'm going to go to the paper goods worksheet, and it's not complete yet either. So I'm going to do the same thing with this that we did with the menu order.
Okay.
So I'm going to multiply the unit price by the quantity times, this time I'll point to the E2, but I'll go ahead and lock it in right now because it'll do the same, we'll have the same problem if we don't lock it. Oops.
Yeah, so you might as well do that at the beginning.
Yeah. The lessons learned from one time. We don't need to do it twice, I don't think. And yeah, I'm going to just use that fast fill double click. But now I got a lot of totals. My grand total here is $244.19. Sorry about those things popping up.
I know.
We haven't been able to figure out how to get rid of those yet.
Makes me,
It's related
it's
to
my,
the Ultra VNC. Somebody on some computer somewhere is trying to log into your machine. Which,
well, I can either accept or reject it, but it's auto accepting it anyway.
Yeah, I was getting that pop up on
Yeah.
one of the machines yesterday.
I'd say use whatever one slows it down a little bit. I think one pops up right away again, the other one slows it for a couple of seconds. We need to get that cleared out though, because that's kind of crazy. So anyway, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to go back to our original sheet, the catering invoice.
I did something wrong here. Because now I got this is wrong. What was the formula again? I'm sorry, I'm going to just try to type it in the bar.
We can do that. Equals B4 times C4.
4 times C4. And then where do I got the, times? Okay,
Times
that's what it is.
E2,
Dollar
but
sign.
dollar sign E, dollar sign 2.
That's what it is. I was missing the times. Dollar sign.
Yeah, and that pop-up gets in the way and sometimes messes up your formula too.
Dollar sign 2. Okay.
And then
Now we see there's a problem with that formula.
I know I did mine wrong. I did 2 dollar signs in front of the E.
I
the
keep
first
typing
time.
S instead of dollar sign.
Ah,
I don't know why. Nope, it's telling me
well,
that's
they're,
wrong.
they're similar. Don't do quite the same thing.
Dollar.
Let's say if I could have put that first multiplication in parentheses, but since order of operation is going to go left to right, multiply those first two and then multiply the tax rate.
And then,
So I got $4.26. Yeah.
okay.
Now I'm looking at where that location is. It's
Mm-hmm,
E13 for the grand total.
mm-hmm.
I go back to that catering invoice. Well, they just typed in $110, so I know that's not right. So I'm going to do that relative reference again, which is just a matter of putting an equal sign in there. And then I'm going to go over and point and click to that grand total, and then hit enter. And I brought in my $244. And by the way, because that was paper goods, you can see it did the same thing again. I didn't have to type in
Yeah,
the single quotes, paper, space, goods, space, an exclamation point. It'll automatically do that. Something nice about, in this case, the point and click, I think, makes it a lot easier. And then I
less
don't
room
make
for
it,
errors.
yeah,
you know,
I don't make a
typing.
typo in here, like if
Yeah.
I put in an extra O in goods, or
Mhm.
one less in goods. I wouldn't know what to do with it. They don't have anything for rental equipment, so I think we have to leave that as is. And the service fee is kind of interesting. They added an 18% service fee for whatever the total was for the food and beverage. don't know if you noticed earlier, but there was zeros down here when we started, but when we brought in this 578, then it calculated 18% times like 578 to give us their service fee in there. And the bottom one is actually using function sum again. They're getting ahead of us. Now we got one more thing in here, and I'm not quite sure why they did this, but they gave us a menu order with no tax. Well, I guess they wanted to know just how much the cost was.
Straight.
Less than the tax.
You should have just had it some.
Kind of simple. So I guess what we'll do, we'll multiply the unit price by the quantity. In this case, they got a function down there adding it up. So if I double click on it, Excel's going to be wise and stop right above that place where the function total is, the sum total. So not sure why they put that one in there, but it's there. So any problems with that? Your catering invoice, do you have like a 1,176 total?
Mm-hmm.
You trying to get rid of the annoyances?
Just looking at it. Just looking at it.
I'm gonna go ahead and close this one. We haven't had a break. I think it's probably time for a break. You agree?
I agree. Coffee, I need coffee.
And Jill, were you following along okay there?
Yes, I am.
Good, good. We're gonna take a short break. How about, what, 5 minutes? Maybe
Okay.
more than that. And then we're gonna jump in one more GCF video, which is gonna be number 16. Do you have loaded on your home computer the practice tasks from the book?
No.
Can you log into one of the machines using Ultra VNC?
Is it on this paper?
Sorry?
How do I get on there?
Did you install Ultra VNC on your computer?
Ultra DNC? No.
That remote thing?
Okay, coffee.
Okay, let me do it now. Ultra VNC is www.
Basically, all you need to load is the Ultra VNC viewer, which will allow you to log in remotely to one of those links I gave you for the various computers in Gurney. Although Donna had trouble with that. A couple of them didn't give her much connection. She found one that she was able to connect to.
Yeah, then it froze.
And it froze.
I couldn't do the G metrics or whatever.
Yeah.
It seemed to last forever, although we did replace one of those boxes. I saw up in Bernie at the
Yeah.
anyway. Talking about those boxes of 600 spoons or 600 forks
Oh,
that we got.
I get the mixed ones sometimes, but then I end up with tons and tons of spoons.
Yeah, we end up, I think what we end up with, yeah, using
Or
we
knives.
packed. We got a lot of knives, yeah. We got a couple of boxes of knives and then no spoons or forks.
Okay, it's downloaded, but how do I get to it?
Do you still have the instructions I sent towards the beginning of the class?
Oh yeah, I do.
Okay. What's that called?
Win VPN, WIN VPN. Connections. Win VNC. This might take a couple minutes here. Where are we going to chapter 16?
Yeah, we're going to go to 16. It's going to be our first one about functions. And Jill, were you able to log into one of the computers?
No.
I don't know if you have the, oh, my stick at home. I don't forget the list of computers in front of me. Oh, thanks. Can you see my screen? I'm just pulling it up. If I was going to log into Ultra VNC viewer, you should see a screen that looks like this. Do you have something that looks like this?
No. I'm gonna redo it. I don't know what happened. Oh Lord. I'm gonna type that all the way back in. Downloads.
I think they do have those instructions. Connect 59.
32-bit.
I got into 5908. It's one of those.
Yeah,
G108.
I made it to 7.
Oh, this is number 8. G108. And the PC IDs are just like G101, 102, 103, which identifies just which PC it's in.
Okay, the VCN server.
You want
Hopefully it's 73.209.
you see my screen? I've got a couple of these different icons on here. You want this one that says Ultra VNC Viewer. You have that one showing up?
Auto. So type in that server that you got on there, the 73.209.
Yeah, or if you got that spreadsheet I sent, or that file I sent you.
Oh, okay, I see.
This one should work though. This one seems to be working. 73.209.239.118, and it's colon 5908. And once you get that in, you can click on connect. It's going to bring up a password box. The password's always MITS, lowercase. Thanks.
It says password.
Yeah, when it says password,
MITS, I see it.
yeah, lowercase MITS. And I won't log in there because I don't want to get in your way.
Oh, yeah.
You see a blue screen with a bunch of icons on it?
Yeah.
Good, good. Okay. So now you're logged into that machine. Now, I'm going to show one more GCF video, but then we're going to go to the desktop files and folders section, or the geometrics eventually. But just, we're going to do some things in chapter 4 first. Let me go back and find my functions. So I'm going to show this one video about functions. It's the basic overview of the functions. Everything we've done so far with those first 3 videos was formulas. Well, they did throw a sum function in there.
Community Foundation.
Is that loud enough?
Functions are a great time-saving option for calculating data in your worksheet. They can be used in place of formulas when your formula would be too long or just too complicated to write out manually. To access the function library, go to the Formulas tab on the ribbon. Here you'll find hundreds of functions to choose from. They've all been organized into categories to make them easier to find. For example, under Financial, you'll find functions that deal with things like interest and monthly payments. Under Text, you can perform text manipulations, like converting lowercase to uppercase, replacing text, and more. Date and Time includes functions that return the current date, time, day of the week, and other useful data. Some of the most common functions are pretty simple though, like sum and average. You can access these using the drop-down arrow under AutoSum. In this example, I'd like to add these 10 cells to calculate the total. If I tried to create a formula for that, I'd have to add each cell individually. Not only would that be tedious, it would also make the formula really long, especially if I had, say, 100 cells that I wanted to add. So instead of creating a formula, I'm going to use a function. First, select the cell where you want the answer to appear. Then choose a function. In our case, we'll open the AutoSum menu, and then choose Sum. Now Excel has inserted the function and also selected the cells that are being added together. If it selects the wrong cells, you can always change that by dragging the corner handles here. When you're done, press Enter on your keyboard, and the answer will appear. Let's look at this function in a little more detail. Just like formulas, functions always start with an equal sign. But you may have noticed that there are no mathematical operators, such as addition or subtraction, like you would normally see in a formula. Instead, functions use a specific syntax that includes the name of the function, followed by one or more arguments in parentheses. The arguments tell the function which cells or numbers to calculate the result. In this example, we only have one argument, even though there are 2 different cell references. This is called a range of cells, or a cell range. A cell range is represented by 2 different cell references with a colon in between. In this case, the range consists of all the cells between D3 and D12. If you want to use more than one argument, you'll need to separate each one with a comma. Let's try a different function now. In this example, we have a column for the date that each item was ordered and the date that it was received. What I'd like to know is how many business days it took for each item to be delivered. First, select the cell where you want the function to go. Then choose a function if you know what category it's in. If you don't, you can try searching for it instead. Just click the Insert Function command on the far left of the ribbon. Searching for functions can be tricky, but for more experienced users, this can be an extremely useful tool. Just type a description of the function you're looking for. I'm looking for something that'll count the number of days that have elapsed, so I'll type count days and then press enter. We've gotten a lot of different results here. To learn more about a function, just click the name, and a description will appear below. The function called net workdays returns the number of workdays between two dates, and that's exactly what we want. So I'm just going to click OK, and another dialog box will appear. There will be separate fields for each argument in the function. This function has up to 3 arguments: start date, end date, and holidays. When you click a field, you'll see a description of it below. And if you need more help, you can click the link that says Help on this function. For the start date, I'm going to select cell E3. And for the end date, I'll select F3. We know the holidays argument is optional because it's not bold, so I'm going to leave that one blank. Before you continue, you can check the result of the function here. When you're ready, click OK, and the function will be added to the worksheet. Just like with formulas, you can copy the function using the fill handle here. And now we can see the number of business days it took for each item to be delivered. If you've never used functions before, the syntax may seem a little strange at first. But with some practice, you're bound to get the hang of it, and soon you'll be using your favorite functions over and over.
Okay, we're going to play with this file a little bit too. So this is in the practice workbook number 16, so I think so. And I wanted to point out something about functions. There's actually a lot of different places we can work with functions. Formula tab, of course, is one where we can see everything pretty well spread out. Recently used is actually, we'll see that's one of the common things we got. There's logical, text, date and time. Mine are squished down here, but that's a lookup reference, math and trig. Again, all sorts of categories like that. If I don't know what I'm looking for, I can click on this FX here. I can also do that on the Home tab. So I'm going to go back to the Home tab because I can click on the FX there and insert a function. Way over on the right on the Home tab, they also have the Sigma over there with that short list of common ones: sum, average, and count, max and min. Over here, though, too, if I click on more functions, it's going to bring up that same dialog box. So a bunch of different ways to get there. And because they've got all this stuff on the home screen, a lot of times I just work from the home screen. Selection most recently used, you'll see probably as your default, but there's a pull-down list here which gives basically the same icon list that they had in the formulas one, where it's financial, date and time, various things like that. In this case, the simple ones. By the way, with this pull-down by the Sigma, if I don't do the pull-down and just click on, well, first off, I'm going to the cell where I want the answer, which is D13. If I just click on the Sigma, it's going to do the sum. You don't actually have to open it up and click on that. You'll automatically do that. And Microsoft's pretty good at guessing the right range. As you pointed out, if it doesn't guess the right range, you can always adjust it. Now I got equals sum D3 colon D12. When I hit enter, boom, gives me the grand total. Now we'll play with the one that she showed us too, which was transit days. I think this is interesting for my former work with UPS.
Yeah, right.
I thought it was funny that in the old days you'd see something where the company, you'd order something, the company would say, we'll have it there in 6 to 8 business days or something like that. Well, from anywhere in the United States to here, it would take about 3 business days. So I know that they're
Padding
putting buffer in there in case
Right.
they can't find it on their shelf or whatever it is. Of course, that's changing a lot now too, with Amazon jumping in the fray
Yeah,
too.
same day delivery and all that.
I ordered one of these Excel books on Saturday and it came on Sunday.
Wow.
Woof, it's crazy because I
It
know
is amazing.
what Amazon's doing is going to cut into UPS and
Oh,
FedEx.
yes. And the post office.
And the post office too. Well, they still sometimes ship things via one of the other
Mhm.
carriers.
Hmm.
I got two things yesterday, come to think of it. One was a box that was dropped off, and I went an hour later. I was in the washroom, and I heard the doorbell ring. I go, "Who's ringing
On a
the doorbell?"
Sunday,
Got there, and it was another book. And it was like, "Oh."
holiday, I mean, yeah.
But a separate one. I was like,
Mhm.
okay. I mean, probably from different warehouses, different
Mhm.
places. So anyway, I'm on this G3, and I'm going to go ahead and calculate transit days. Now I'm going to click on that little FX. And if I don't see it in my recent list, because a lot of times, especially when we get into geometrics, we'll see that there's a small bunch of things we use over and over. I don't see it there. I'm going to click on time and date category. And there's a long list of things here too. I happen to remember though it was Net Workdays that she saw was the right one. There is also something called Net Workdays International, which is
Yeah.
slightly different. So when you get some of these requests, you gotta be kind of careful on which one you choose. I'm gonna go ahead and choose Net Workdays. Brings up that dialog box, which I'm gonna slide down here a little bit. So the order date be what I put in the start date, which is E3. When you get these dialog boxes, you have to click on the next one, and this is where some of us get in trouble, because if I stayed on start date, I would put in my second reference and everything, and it wouldn't work too well. End date's going to be F3. It doesn't always do this, but a lot of times it'll give you an answer here, which can help you see, okay, that makes sense. As pointed out, holidays is optional. If this was, like the end of November and got Thanksgiving in there, work it a little differently.
So does this include like weekends or no? Does it take into account weekends?
Net work days.
So it just takes.
Turns the number of whole work days.
Number of whole work days. Work days. So yeah, it's not including weekends. If you want to do one with weekends, there's probably another form you can do for total days. But this is
there probably is, but I was just
this one just does net work days. Yeah, so it's
so
just
it
doing
knows
Monday
to
through
ignore
Friday.
weekends.
So we can click OK, and we get that number 4. And we can use the fill handle to copy those down. We see 2 to 5 days, I think, is our average range there. Now there's more boxes down below, so we're going to actually do a little bit more with these two. One is total items ordered. So on B17, if I look up above, total items is basically column B. So we're going to be adding up row 3 through 12. So I can do that just using that auto sum. Now this is one case where it guessed the wrong range. So I'm on the home screen, so I just clicked on the sigma and it gave me too far. I wanted to stop at 12, so I could either edit it, or what I like to do is I'm more of a painter, so I would just paint over the range of B3 to B12. And then when I hit enter, we have 55 things ordered. Line 18 wants to know what's the most expensive thing we got. Well, this is a short list. We could look there and see, okay, it's 28 bucks. I can see that olive oil is the most expensive. 2.5 gallons for 28 bucks. Pretty good deal. So what I'm going to do here, get them on the home screen. So I'm just going to do the pull down for the sigma, and max is one of those things in the list. That would give me the most expensive item. It's guessing the wrong range here, so I've got to actually cover the range. So I'm going to cover this range and C from, oops, slow down. C3 to C12. I know what's going to pull in. I know that 28 bucks is the biggest thing. Now they want us to do an average days in transit, so that's actually going to tie back into what we did in that last column. So we want to average this group of numbers here, the 1, 2, 3, 4s. Actually, I just highlighted them down here in my little cheat sheet. I see it's going to be 3.8, but I don't want to do it that way. I want to actually put it in this box here. So I'm going back to that box. Average is another one of those common ones you have in that short list. Clicking on average, and then it doesn't know the right range here, so I've got to go over and find the right range. It's going to be G3 to G13 or 12. And then when I hit enter, hey, 3.8. Because I looked at that, because I highlighted that group before, I could see that it was going to be them. Like, oh, okay. So with functions, you usually start out by finding the cell where you want the answer. That's probably the key thing. Sometimes, even in the questions in geometry, sometimes you want to cover the range first, but it's got to be the location where we want the answer. Usually we got to find first, even if it doesn't say that till the end of the 3 sentences it has in there.
I'm missing what you're saying here.
Which one?
It's,
Average transit days.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it to G as my choice.
Oh, okay. I would go over and just start pointing and drag down there. Sorry about
I think it
that.
says me.
Yeah, because it
Doing something wrong. Maybe because this thing keeps interfering. I don't know.
could be. You can either use this or you can use the home screen. But if you want to use average in here,
Mhm.
use it off of that guy too. That'd give you some. Let's click on that. Okay. And
By
you can either
default.
type it in or normally you can just paint over that range and then hit enter.
Okay. All right.
And give you that.
All right.
For most expensive, it's just the max.
Okay. Oops. Okay.
Yeah, it's easy to pull that off there.
And then
And that's paint over column
C.
C, yeah. Something happened to your first one, but that's not the biggest value anyway. And it's got the 2868. Sulaine, are you with us? Following along here?
Cool.
Cool. Okay, good. We're going to go to the next tab in there. It says cookie sales. This is actually a much simpler one. All they want is the average of how many units were sold. I'm going to use that average off the pull down from sigma. In this case, it guessed the right range. But oh, you must want C3 to C9. Yep. It has words and stuff around it, so it knew what you had to stop there. Kind of a simple one, but that's what's nice about those common ones that we could use quite a bit, like average and sum. We got a challenge in here too, though. So the next one is a little bit more complex. We got the scores for our students. And what they want for each quiz is the lowest score, median score, and high score. And then average for each student we'll put in column F eventually. I'm going to start out in B18 and do the lowest score. This is going to be the easiest one. So lowest score is the same thing as what?
A minus, minimum.
Yeah, minimum. And in this case, it gets to the right range of B3 to B17, so I can just hit enter. Median is actually not the same as average. It's similar, usually close to the same thing, but median is actually one I'm going to have to look up because it's probably not something I commonly use. And I might have it. No, I don't have it in my list. So I'm actually going to type it in the search box up here. I spell it right though. When I hit enter, it brings it up and says this returns number in the middle of a given set of numbers. So that's why median is often close to average, but not quite the same. Now it gets B3 to B18, which is actually too much because it's bringing in that lowest score. So I just need to change this to B17. The median score I got was like 90. Kind of saying that's the middle score of that whole bunch of, we have 14 numbers there. There's too much in there.
Yeah, I don't know how I got that.
Yeah, probably hit escape again.
Okay, so I get median.
High score is a little easier to work with because that's just going to be max.
So if I just hit median,
Uh-huh.
well, there it goes, B3 to B18, but we want B7.
I just changed it to 17 because we don't
Oh, I
want
got
to
what I was.
re-add in that low score. So I got my first column done now. 54 is a low, 90 is a median, and of course highest score is going to be 100. See, we've got a couple hundreds in there. Nice thing about this, I can actually drag and drop this whole group to the right once I get them all set up. And I'll carry those numbers across. I can see we've got a couple students that are in trouble. Jensen Howard got a 54. Sharia Clemens got a 45 on the Unit 2, Quiz 1. Oh no.
So then you drag this across.
I actually highlighted all three of these and dragged them across and then carried across low, medium, and high. I actually dragged them all the way to that last one because we're actually going to put the average in there in a minute. It won't work right now. Not quite know what we want to do with that. We don't, right now column F is kind of blank.
I got a different answer on mine
Oh yeah?
numerically here. What am I gonna do here? I'll do medium or average.
I would say average and medium are kind of close.
No, I guess.
I'm just curious, what would average be for this? Let's see, let me try average. My average is 84.6, so it's a little bit smaller than our median. And median, basically, as it said in that definition, is just kind of like the middle number, whatever that might be. So this case is like one of these 90s must have been about the middle of everything. I do want to use average. I'm going to use average on the right side. And Excel's pretty smart again. It's not going to try up and down here. It knows I've got a bunch of things to the left. And it's going to highlight those things. And it's doing it to a couple decimal points. I'm going to, since everything else is rounded off to whole numbers, I'm going to round that off too. So Jackson Love averaged 81. I'm going to drag that down. Actually, I'm going to go down here and make these full numbers too, just to make it consistent. Yeah.
It says 89.5. Yeah. Oh, I added the 18 to be 17.
Yeah, that's what I say. This is where Excel guesses wrong. It goes just a little too far.
Okay. Where am I now on the challenge?
Go ahead and drag these across. I think the 90 is the 90 right?
87.
I got it. Yeah, so drag that across.
Right.
And I do the same thing with the max. Or did you already do that? Does max look okay?
No, because it's adding 19.
Oh, okay.
What did it do?
Oops. Yeah, you got to hit enter before you hit enter. Then you can drag it across. Now all I did was I went up to number 3, F3, and used the average function to average Jackson Love first.
Okay.
So you can, yeah, okay, I can do it that way. If you had just done the function it would assume the range.
Okay,
So like, just leave it blank.
okay.
And is that blank? No, you're still in there. But just click on the pull down here and average. See, it guesses the range. You can just hit enter.
And then I can.
I rounded them off, you know, that was just me, but, and you carry it on down then. Sorry about that. I sent a note off to Paul and the other guy saying we need to get that fixed. That's pretty much the same. I just rounded them off to whole numbers.
All right. Did you round it up in the system, or did you?
I highlighted everything and then I used the, other than the number section, used the decrease, increase decimals on your home screen. Just yeah, the little buttons right below.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Hmm.
Well, that's good. I'm going to close this and forget about it, not save it.
Yeah, let's forget about it.
I'm actually going to close GCF Learn for you now too, because we don't need that right now. I'll just leave it. First thing I want to do though is go through some things in the book. Actually, I liked a couple of the exercises they got in there. So this is going to be on page 130 in the book. And I'm going to open up desktop files and folders, and you should have on the machines here folders that say MOS Excel 2016 and NJL. And I think you've got that, you should have that on the grading machine that you're logged into as well.
All kids out the house.
What I'm going to do is click on the MOS 2016 or Excel 2016. I'm going to open up Objective 4.
And then 41B.
41A. Let's start out with 41A. I like this one because this is a good one to help us see why those locking in cells really helps. So we've got a simple spreadsheet here, 1 through 20 going down, column A, 1 through 20 going across. We want to create a multiplication table in here. So the easiest one is I'm going to start out in B2. I'm just going to multiply 2 times 2. So it's A2 times B1. Gives me 4. Now, if I copy this anywhere, it's going to go crazy. I didn't even go very far here, but you can see that because it's not locked in, next time I multiply 4 by 3, then 4 by 12, and it would get larger and larger. So this wasn't going to work. So I'm going to get rid of those guys. But this is a little bit different than what she showed in the video. So what do we think we need to do to make, I'll give you a hint. Basically, we want to always pull from column A, and we always want to pull from row 1.
Oh, the dollar sign, A1 times B1? Dollar sign? I know there's dollar signs in there.
Yeah, there's dollar signs, but only one for a column and one for a row.
Right,
So
so.
basically, it's going to be dollar sign A,
Mhm.
in this case, dollar sign A2, I'll just leave that. And then it's going to be B dollar sign 1.
That's big 1, 2.
So we're locking in column A and row 1. That's why it's a single one here, a single one for the column and a single one for the row.
Keep consistent.
Yeah, so we're locking in. It's always going to pull from column A. You'll see as we move down,
Column
it'll be
A,
A2, A3, A4.
and then B, and row stays the same. So
Yeah.
row,
So you can copy it, or you can pull it either way. I'm just going to go down first. There's a good logic check here too. I get down to the bottom. Well, 2 times 20 is 40. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And you can do it either way. If you did it across, and you could do it down after that. I'm going to go across for how far? Oops, probably not that far. Oh, I found the right one. Column T. I didn't remember that. And boom, now we got this fine multiplication table that we can give to our daughters and granddaughters.
And say 8 times 6, go.
Yeah. Boom. But this is where locking in rows or columns would be really helpful. If we tried to type this in manually or
Yeah. Oh God.
work it other ways, it would have been a problem. Now, this is just formulas here. It's not functions at this point. But obviously, we can do a pretty good bit there just to get this set up. And JL, were you able to do that?
No.
Talk.
I figure out why.
Hmm?
Trying to figure out how, just the reasoning behind it, so.
Me too, because it's a dollar sign in front of the A, but then it's a dollar sign after the B, so in front of the 1. So
Yeah.
it seems like the formula says multiply everything by row 1.
Yeah, and it does, because as we go across, it's always multiplying by row 1.
But as we go down, it
And as we
changes
go
it.
down, it's always multiplying by column A. Oops. But
It's crazy.
the number is sliding down, so now it's row 5, now it's row 10.
I'm just surprised it doesn't keep everything A2.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't lock in the 2 though. The 2 is relative, which means it's a floater. Likewise, the B is a floater. That's why when I go out to say someplace out here,
Yeah. That's
pulling in
wild.
I, still row 1, and still pulling in column
Because
A.
those are our header rows. A and B are our header rows. Column.
I guess you can think of it that way. So it makes it a little bigger. So yeah, and well, something's wrong with mine because I shouldn't be seeing. What am I seeing? Oh, I guess no, I shouldn't be seeing. My formula's not right somehow.
7 times 9 is 63, but it's like 7 times I is 63. So the 7
It should be
times,
7 times. Oh no, 7 times 9 is 63.
but it's highlighting the letter row, do you know what I mean? And not the first row numbers.
Yeah, it's highlighting column I. It's still row 1,
Okay.
and column A is always locked in, but now we're on row 7.
I think I'm kind of lost.
Now, the example we had, of course, was using that 7.5%, so that's why we had to lock in that one cell both ways, both for the column and the row. That's why E2 had $E, $2.
I knew all that.
Can you hear me?
So that's enough on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and close this and not save it.
Is this messing
And
up?
I'm going to go to 4-1B now.
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
We're able to add.
It's messed up in here.
Guess we don't have to.
And we don't need to enable edit on these. They're just saved right to the computer. And say, what do they want us to do? They actually play with these numbers a few different ways. You'll actually see here there's 5 tabs in here. The first tab is a summary tab. Second one is spring, summer, fall, and winter. And each time they've also got a region in there. They've got some sales summaries by region. So they want us to, on the summary worksheet, on that first one, they want us to display the total sales for each period by referencing the corresponding worksheets. So basically under B2, which would be the spring totals, I'm just going to look at where it is. It's going to be in B6. I'm going to go back here and I'm going to click equals and point and click to B6 at 1 million and some change.
Okay.
I'm basically going to do the same thing for all 3 seasons. By chance, summer and spring happen to have the same numbers, but that's just a chance thing. So basically, we just did, I did point and click, but now these are one word tabs at the bottom. So you see at the top, like I look at spring, it says equals spring exclamation point B6. It wasn't two words spread out, so it didn't need to put the single quotes in here.
They're fooling you by putting fall.
What's that?
They're tricking you, putting fall last in the list.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
See
not.
if you're paying attention, right?
And I did it out of order too, so I brought this probably.
Yeah, you did it. Yeah, you got them backwards.
Yeah,
Crazy.
they're goofy.
I logged in and I can't hear.
Yeah, I forgot about that. They changed that around. Why did they do that?
Just to see if we're paying.
Well, that's all we
Let's
have
see
to
if
do
we're
with it.
watching. Are you paying attention? We put these out of order down here. Now, what I would have done is probably just
No, fuck you.
rearrange this,
Mhm.
fall above winter.
Yeah.
That's actually all they're going to ask us to do on this one here, I believe. We'll see this again later, though, because they're going to actually have us do a little bit more work with this in another file. I'm going to go ahead and close this, not save it. Important not to save that, because if we save it, next person that comes in, next student next time will actually have the answer right away. I'm going to open up 4-1C. And Jail, are you with us?
I'm here. Can you guys hear me? I don't know what's this thing is stupid.
Hello, can you hear me? All right, now this actually does look similar. There's a bunch of worksheets in here, but actually they want us to work with the seasonal worksheet to start with. They're actually going to ask us to do some different funny things. So in B18, they want us to create a formula that returns a number of non-empty cells in the period range. Well, we can see that, row 2 through 17 is full. So it's kind of a weird request. There's 16 items there and they're full. So this is going to be, it's going to be something like count if. In this case, they're not really telling us what to use, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be count if. And so it gives me two things to put in the dialog box. So the range first I'm going to cover from fall to winter. So A2 to A17. One thing nice about using functions, it'll show you on the right side an example of what you've got there. So I see fall, 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 spring, 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 etc. And my criteria is going to be, wait, I think I'm using the wrong one actually. I was going to say it would be not equal. Let me change that. I'm going to go back here. It's like count if, but I mean exactly what it is. So I'm going to put in count empty cells. I'm looking at the wrong thing. First contains numbers. Count A is not empty.
Count blank.
Number of cells.
Count
Well, they
blank
want you
number.
to count the non-empty cells.
Counts number of empty cells in a specified range.
We want count A. Because it says count the number of non-empty cells.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm misreading it. I was trying to do the blank ones. Yeah, you're right. Count A is the right one then.
Count non-blank cells and
I'm going to cover that range. In this case,
Hello?
Yeah, hi.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
When I downloaded that Ultra VNC, the sound went out.
Did it really?
Yeah, and because okay, let me log back into that.
I hope it doesn't knock you out again. This is one case where we can actually we don't even need to enter a second value or anything. It's just giving us the number 16.
like that as well.
So, by the way, one of the things I like about this little FX in the middle up here, so I got a function in there. I can just click on it and bring up the dialog box again. So I can see if I made a mistake or something in there, I could go ahead and edit it. That little FX there will pop it up. And you can double click on it too, and it's gonna, and you're on that actual cell, it shows you.
How do I get to the Excel sheet under the VNC?
I'm sorry?
Where you're at, that should be on the desktop.
Desktop files and folders. Is there a folder on the home screen?
Yeah.
All that? You click on that, I think you're going to find a bunch of things in there, but there should be MOS Excel 2016 among everything.
No, there's no Excel on here.
Oh boy, that's one of the machines I didn't add it back in.
Let me try another machine.
Yeah, try one of the other
Files
machines.
as well.
Yeah, see one of the desktop files and folders and didn't see it.
5901.
I didn't check every machine, but I added in 4 or 5 machines. This fellow that's helping clean up things and set up Ultra VNC, also wiping out these files that we'd saved in the computers. He wasn't supposed to do that. We had trouble with the Nortons, I think it was, that was trying to always, we always got these, you're out of date, you need to have this in. Well, we weren't going to add it in, and we found out that it was also chewing up a huge amount of memory. So once we removed that, the machines worked a lot better.
Yeah.
But our friend was not supposed to, he's a student here too, he wasn't supposed to be removing other files.
Why do you want to count?
Hmm?
I'm just curious why you want to count versus
That's just, they're just,
trying to make you do something.
yeah, they're just trying to show they can put it in a different location and still do it. Now they want us to go to C18 and do an average of the sales.
It's just, yeah.
They want us to create a formula.
They want us to use average. Yeah, so this would be a function. It's actually in that pull down list, so
That's
that one's a little bit easier because we do.
as long as I'm just not overthinking it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah,
Okay, now I'm here. Which one I have to go to?
we'll go to desktop files and folders again.
Right, I'm in there.
MOS Excel 2016.
What was that?
MOS Excel 2016. There should be a folder named that.
MOS.
MOS just stands for Microsoft Office.
Right. I don't see anything that says MOS. I see invoice data, Excel expert, Excel 2016.
Excel 2016 is good enough. Try that one.
But this says more pivot tables. Practice 1.
Oh, that's not the right one.
Oh Lord.
There isn't an MOS Excel 2016.
No. So I have to try another one.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, try it.
Okay.
I'm gonna be back up there tomorrow, so I can double check those other machines.
I'll try 5907. Let me go 5906.
Actually, you know what? If you use the instructor's computer, I think that one is.
That was the 5908 one, right?
I'm sorry. Oh yeah, I don't know what. Oh yeah, I'm not sure what the number is for that. Got in my spreadsheet that I didn't bring in. Oh, what's the third thing they asked us to do? By the way, yeah, this is on 130. The book, so D5. lowest sales for fall. Well, that's moderately easy too. We'll do the min. So it's going to be those first 4 cells there, C2 to C5. Again, that's something we could see. Okay, 300 is the smallest. Yeah, the smallest.
But then I highlighted the 4 cells for fall, and then I dragged them down, and it gave me for the. It did say 2, but I was curious. I thought dragging would work.
Dragging
So
one.
show. So here I dragged this series, and then it repeated it accordingly.
Yeah, you can actually do that because it's a relative.
But you had to do the series. You couldn't just do
Actually,
the one cell.
You can click on the one and find out where your next section ends
Oh,
and paste
oh yeah.
and your next section
See.
and your next section.
That works.
Yeah, because it's a relative reference. In this case, it's set up the same way. So it's those 4 cells knows its next 4 cells, next 4 cells.
Okay, I'm in.
I think
Going down?
I got it, yeah.
Now, there's 2 more tabs in here, but we're going to get to these, I think, a little bit later. Use them actually in this exercise.
Plus playing safe.
So actually, I think we're done with 4-1C. And B18 for how many cells were full. And it was basically from the period, fall, spring, summer, fall, winter, out of order. And when they wanted an average of everything in column C, the sales, they actually asked us to come up with the minimum value for the sales for fall. So we're using 3 different functions there. We haven't had a break for a bit either, have we? I actually need a break. My coffee's run through. So I'm going to close this one. And not save it. And I'm going to open 4-2, which we'll get to in a few minutes. I won't drink any more coffee for a bit.
So we're closing this?
Yeah.
Okay, I got it in.
but I'm looking at this thing. This is actually dollars. I would have probably not formatted these as numbers. But you can see, just gonna.
Want them to be dollars?
4-2. Right now it says number up here. We could use the dollar sign, change it to accounting. But we can do that pull down to and either use currency or accounting. They look pretty much the same, just slightly different. They just left that out. So I'm just saying, if this was my spreadsheet with my expenses, I'd want to have dollar signs in there. In this case,
Oh, you might.
we could probably round it up because there's no cents in there at all. That's just me playing with it a little bit though.
No, it's a great reminder on these little tools
Yeah.
up here.
And I noticed you had one problem there in your column J, like if something is too narrow and you get those pound signs in there, it probably just means you need to widen that column a little bit to get everything to show again. Some students kind of forget that's why they got pound signs in there. It's not an error.
Zeros in there.
Hmm?
How'd you get zeros in there?
Probably because I use currency and did you use accounting?
I just.
Yeah, so if you use, okay, so it's doing accounting for you. That's why I say they're similar, they have just slight differences. Like if I change that to accounting now, it'd probably look like yours.
Oh, okay, now, yeah. Okay.
Okay, ready to go with this one? First thing I want to do is go to C25, which already has some sort of thing in there. It wants to review the formula, which uses an AND function. Oh, I see it's got an AND function. I'm going to actually click on my little button up there to see what it's doing. So the AND function is being used to determine if the entertainment total is less than $200. Drag it down a little bit. And the miscellaneous total is less than $100. Oh, I'm sorry. This is 136 in the book.
I know he switched.
Yeah, I went to the next one.
Equal C25, I feel like.
So it's supposed to be saying that entertainment is less than 200. And entertainment is age 20. It's 184 right now. Well, that's true. It's less than 200. And entertainment is less than 100.
So
I'm sorry. Miscellaneous is less than 100. Actually, miscellaneous is less than 100, so I'm not sure why it's saying it's false. Oops. Let me do that. Oh, I see why it's saying it's false. Because they've got a greater than sign in there instead of a less than sign. So we need to edit that. Change that to being less than. Now, both of them are true. Because entertainment is less than 200 and miscellaneous is less than 100. I got both as being true. I hit OK. Now it makes sense.
what do they mean by unprotected formula? When I pull down on that little warning sign there.
Oh, these warning signs pop up quite a bit, usually because, well, it's unprotected formula, that's fine. A lot of times it's because we've got a pattern going that doesn't follow, if we got 3 or 4 rows that had one formula in it, and something different in this one, it would say, hey, you got something different here.
So I'm going to ignore that here.
Yeah, I would
They
ignore it.
said less than or equal to 200, so each
Oh, less than or
20,
equal to?
should it be equal? I mean, should it be, how do you do that, less than?
Well, this one didn't ask us to do that, but if we
Yeah,
want,
it's in the book, but it doesn't do that in there.
really?
Yeah.
I'm looking at.
Mine does.
Less than 200 or less than, really?
entertainment total is less than or equal to 200.
That's strange.
But Jay corrected it in your book to
Well,
match the answer. Maybe.
That's strange.
So I was just
This-
wondering how,
I just printed this off my ebook copy. It should be the same. It shouldn't be different. Okay,
so,
that's good to know.
I was just wondering,
Well, yeah,
not
let
that
me-
it matters, because the answer would be still the same.
Right.
But
What you
how
can
would you
do
depict
Let's
that?
just add an equal sign in
Would
there.
it be equal then? Okay.
So less than an equals. It's still going to give us the same thing in this case. Still going to be true. If you just, when you do less than or equals, you have to, or greater than equals, you just have both those in there and it'll work it out.
I didn't
Now you got to be curious. What if I make one of these?
Each 20.
And actually, the way to test this is to throw different numbers in there. So I'm going to throw $70 in an open space. Now it's false because I'm over $100 in here. It's going to try to make it exactly that amount, but that's probably too much. Now, C26, they want us to look at that one too. Review the formula, which uses the OR formula, which is similar to that AND thing, except with the OR formula, if one or the other is true, then it'll be true. That first one with the AND formula, both of those things had to be true for it to be true. So I guess that's like the basic difference between those two. All your arguments have to be true for an AND. One of the arguments has to be true for the second one. The second one is supposed to read, if entertainment is more than $200, the miscellaneous total is more than $100. Well, I think it's showing it correct.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so right now neither of them are greater than those numbers. I throw something in there to change that, to make one of them greater than. In this case, I just put $50 into the entertainment and made it $230. Then the second statement in C26 became true because one of those was greater than the number. And then changed the first one to being false because now both those aren't less than 200 or 100. That's where we can throw in numbers sometimes just to check to see it's doing what we expected it to do. With me so far? Okay, C26, what they want us to do there is put in an expression. We're going to use an if statement. If statements are moderately common. And I might have it in my recent list, and I do in my case. If you don't have it, you can always put it in the search bar and pull it in. If statement gives you a couple different things. Looking for a logical thing, and then what are we going to put in if it's true or false.
Expenses are okay, expenses too high,
Yeah,
right?
so those are the words you're going to put in. So
That you, text function, text,
we're going to just type those things in.
oh,
So the logical
How
test,
do
first
you get
off,
to this
though, is
one?
looking at C25. If C25 is true, and actually, I think I can just put in that. Then the true statement would be, what expenses are okay. You just type that in, and you go down to false, expenses are too high. You need to put quotes or anything in there, that actually automatically does that for you. And I'm going to play with it again, put in $50 under entertainment, and it changed it to expenses are too high, along with changing the two above it. So it's kind of a quick way to check to see if it's doing what it's supposed to.
this doesn't really tell me anything here.
What's that?
I didn't say.
I spelled okay wrong.
Oh, but that's all right. We're not editing this carefully here.
But what, okay, so how do I get to the value of C25 then? Do you know what I mean?
What I did first off is
Got too many 25s.
okay, I would escape them probably. I usually like to use the escape key because sometimes you click on another cell, then it brings in
More stuff.
more stuff.
Mhm.
Escape a lot of times take you back to what you started with. And then I do like using this little FX here because that brings up the dialog box.
Mhm.
I can see what I got in there.
Mhm.
And logical test in this case, it's got the word true in there. So C25 is true. Okay, that's fine. That looks good.
I guess I don't understand what the answers are supposed to be.
It's just saying that both those values in C25 are less than 100 or 200.
Okay.
So it's true. Therefore, expenses are
Okay.
okay. If you put like $50 under expenses,
Mhm.
you'll flip it around. So just in the open space here, I just put like $50. And then it says expenses are, yeah, change that around, and then it says expenses are too high. I think they want us to do something similar to the last one, except we're going to be using C26 for it. On C28, we're going to use an if statement. They kind of mix up the words a little bit. By the way, when you just used a function, if you're under recently used, it would be at the top of the list. So I got if right at the top there. In this case, if C26 and they use different words here. It says saying true and false. I say not true, which is actually not true is actually false. Not false is actually true. I don't know why they use words like that. It's trying to mess us up, I think. So if C28 want to display expenses are okay if it's not true, which is the same thing as false. Did I do that backwards?
I don't know, I think I got the wrong answer. Oh, no, wait a minute, no, I'm looking at the wrong.
Yeah, I think I did it backwards. Expenses are switch that.
I think something.
I flipped it around because it's just a funny way they worded it by saying expenses are okay if it's not true. Well, it's not true. It's false.
Mhm.
And so that means that if this one is false, oops,
And the expenses are okay.
then expenses are okay. Because it means,
I don't understand.
and I wish I hadn't used words like not true and
Mhm.
not false, because that's a double negative kind of thing.
Right.
In English, we're not supposed to do that. You do that in German and some languages, but not in English. Kind of quirky. Anyway, I wouldn't worry too much about that. I just wanted to show us. I'll get that in order. But they want us to do a couple more things. Check our work. Oh, check our work by throwing $100 in someplace over here. I already showed you that. Changes everything around, and our expenses are too high. I want us to do one more thing in G28, which is next to number of expenses. We want us to use a count if, and the range is going to be D10 to I-19. So basically, they're saying this whole section up here are subtotals. They want to know how many have values greater than 0. I'm going to go back to where they want that. They want G28. This time they told us what it is. It's going to be count if. Count if brings up a dialog box 2. So in this case, they want D10 to I-19, I think. Is that what it was? D10 to I-19. And our criteria is going to be, mine says greater than 0. Does yours say greater or equal to?
Greater than 0.
Greater than 2. Now this is another one where we could go. Let's see, there's 6 rows of 3. That's going to be used. This time it didn't give me an answer down here, though. It's interesting. But 18, like, again, we could add this up pretty quick. Actually, if I highlight those, down below it says count of 18. My little double check. But we could count or multiply 3 times 6 and come up with that one. So that's not too hard. And the nice thing about this, though, that if we added more expenses here on the other rows, then we just continually add those in. And perhaps, while we're only dealing, with this stuff down here, we're only dealing with entertainment and miscellaneous. So if transportation or fuel went really high, there's nothing that going to tell us it's okay over here.
Yeah, the
limited.
other 2 columns are discretionary expenses, so it's probably when they're watching that one.
Yeah, I guess we want to make sure if we keep our entertainment miscellaneous costs in line, then we're okay. No matter how much we spend on transportation.
Well, yeah, they actually so you have a limit on how much you can spend on those. So.
Yeah. And Jail, are you keeping with us here? Does this make sense?
Yes. Can you hear me? This stupid computer.
I hope so. I'm recording this so it can be watched again.
Yeah,
I'm going to close this file then, and I'm going to open up 4-3. This is on page 142 in your books. This one's a wild and crazy one for me because I think we might have seen this in one of the geometrics things. There's a function called concatenate. It combines the things from different cells. And that's pretty helpful. Actually, I found out one just recently when I was reading some stuff. Find and select can be helpful because you could actually use find and select to replace things that you don't want. Or if you want to have nothing from like the end of a string. Actually, I think I'll do a quick demonstration there. Like for this, let me say, I'll just do a find and replace. So like, if I wanted Microsoft Press just to show Microsoft. I put that in as my first thing, and then I would put in, well, this is too simple an example, but you know, if there was a bunch of other stuff out there, it wasn't just Press, but a lot of different things, and I just wanted to have Microsoft.
Replace with Apple. Replace with
Replace
Apple.
that. Actually, what I want to do is just kind of shorten it, but you can actually do something like, this doesn't have it. I was going to say dot star would get rid of everything else. Okay, so if I just put in this, it's going to just replace it. So it's kind of match up there. It's just doing it one at a time, but I didn't want to. Actually, didn't want to do it that way. That wasn't. I'll have to come up with a better example. But it's kind of neat that you can use find and replace, so to shorten something that's got like a bunch of ID numbers or IP addresses and stuff that you don't want in your final view. That's beyond.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
That's beyond what this is talking about here, though. So let me go back to what we're supposed to do here. file by column, which is column D, they want us to put in the first letter of the author's last name. Well, this is actually a pretty simple one too. It's called left. Do I have Mary's last name? No.
It's what?
It's called left. What left is going to do is going to give us the option to copy or put in whatever amount of letters we want. So in this case, we want the author's last name. First, click on that.
Author's last name.
So it's Lambert, Joan Lambert. You've probably seen in our books quite a bit. And we don't, for one letter, we don't have to do it, but I can put in the number 1. And it gives me an L. Pretty simple. If I drag that down, got L, F, M, P. Like I said, if we had changed that to show 3 letters or something, it would actually show more. Column locator, column H, was to create a function that inserts the author's area code, first 3 digits of the phone number. So this is kind of similar to what we did there, but we're going to do it with the numbers now. There's also going to be a left. Use that formula again. This time I'm going to point to the phone number, and this time I'm going to put the number of characters to be 3. And now I brought in 858. We can carry that on down. Those are the simple ones. Now they're going to get into having us create a long sentence using lots of this to create a biography on each individual. So I'm going to go to concatenate. By the way, they've simplified concatenate a little bit because that's a long thing to type in. You could actually just type in concat, C-O-N-C-A-T, and hit enter, and it would bring that into your list too. Now, concatenate looks like it just has a couple boxes there, but as we add more and more stuff to it, it'll keep expanding and let us do text 3, 4, 5. So first thing they want is Joan Lambert. If I go over again, Joan Lambert, there's a couple places. Well, Joan is in column B, so I'm going to put B2 in there. I want a space between that and her last name. So for text 2, I'm just going to hit the space bar once. I'm going to go to text 3, which will be her last name, Lambert. This is nice because it gives me that preview on the side there too. When you hit the space bar, it automatically puts quotes on it when you go to the next. Text 3 then, or 4 then, will be, is the author of.
Title A2.
Well, the words first is going to be is the author of, because that's not something we have in our list up there. So I'm actually going to put, and I'm going to think about spaces here too. I'm going to make a space, and then is the author of another space. You use spaces on a separate text line, but why bother? Because it's just some words. So that's going to be my text 4. Text 5 then is going to be the title. Microsoft Word 2016 step by step. We're not done. So I'm doing the pull down arrow on the right here because I couldn't see the next boxes. And so here it's showing me as the author. By the way, if we make a mistake in this, it's easy to go back and edit it. Like if I didn't have the space in the right spot, or too many, take that out. Text 6 then. It's going to be another bit of words. So I'm going to put a comma first, space, which is published by. I'm going to put a space at the end of it there. Except I'm going to spell published a little differently. Published. Published by. And then Microsoft Press is our publisher, so I can click on F2. It'll be Microsoft Press. Text 8 is simply going to be the word in, but I'm going to put a space on either side rather than put that on two different texts. And my last one will be publisher, 2000, publishing date, 2015. And I'm going to hit enter, and it doesn't show it all up because there's so much in there. It's taking up a lot of space. So I just stretched out my row. Now I can see if I've done it right. John Lambert is the author of Microsoft Word 2016 Step-by-Step, which is published by Microsoft Press in 2015. Oh, I did forget one thing. I'd like a period at the end of the sentence. So I'll probably just use text 10 and just add a period in there. Now it puts a period in there.
How did you get back to that?
I just clicked on the FX button here to bring up the dialog box again. And I just scroll down to find that. Wow, I scrolled down too much. Text 221.
Yeah,
We don't need that many for this.
so you just put the period there. Okay.
Yeah, so my last box, which I think was text 10, just put a period in there.
Oh, parentheses.
It put the quotes on it. I didn't put the quotes on it. I just hit period and enter.
Okay.
Now, like you say, it's easy to edit. So if I missed a space or had too many spaces, you click on the FX and bring it up again and figure out where you need to add something. You need a space in there. Yeah, that's good. Now, the nifty thing about this great big function is now we can copy it down for the other 4 authors there, and it's going to, boom, carry it on down. I stretched my rows out a little bit so I can see everything. But it's kind of neat because it's doing the same, using that function, that crazy function we put together, pulling all that information for each of those different authors.
Oh.
I'm going to guess Steve Lambert is related to Joan Lambert. I don't know that. But. And you'll notice in our book, in a lot of the Microsoft books that we have, that Joan Lambert is actually the author of these books. They mentioned Word here, but I think our Excel book is also Joan Lambert. I don't know if she's always doing everything I'd like. Anyway. Yeah, on page 142, it shows you that answer. If you want to do it, you can do file open and take a look at the results they've got in there. It should show pretty much the same thing. So, cleaning that up, and she didn't stretch out, and she let it stretch out, so these stretch out further. It should show us the same thing.
And if you hit their FX sign, you'll see their formula.
Let me go to one of these. Yeah, if I click on FX. Why is it doing that? Oh, because they didn't want us to edit this probably. I can see there's stuff in here. They use something a little bit different. XLFN.concat. But the stuff in here looks fairly similar. I don't know why it's telling me. I'm not sure what this prefix they put on there is.
Maybe they had a what do you call that when you have a named value named? So
This is similar, but they're doing something different there. Not quite. But I think, again, they don't want us to really change anything
Yeah.
here. Nor do I want to change anything there, because hopefully the results are going to show us what we need to see. It is strange, though, that we couldn't open up the FX on there.
Could open mine.
Hmm?
Oh, you couldn't open the FX.
No, well, when I did, it just gave me these kind of funny things with
Well,
not knowing what the values are for those things. even though it's showing the right cell references.
Why does it
B2,
have that funky XLFN?
This thing in the front, I don't know, that's what I'm saying, that's.
You don't know what that's,
That's something that they're, oh, see if I can get no help on this one. Because they've done whatever they've done here with this prefix on there,
Yeah.
you know, underscore XL.
But we got
that
the same
thing.
results, so.
Yeah,
Oh, there I go
just
again.
make it hard for us to see the way to do it. I think they should have these protected. I don't think this is actually protected because I could actually, change things in there. But it's kind of like protection, but not quite. I'm not going to save that. I'm going to close this one now too, because we're done with this, and we're done with chapter 4. So now it's time to go to our old favorite geometrics, our new favorite geometrics, our not so favorite geometrics. I still like geometrics. 'Cause I think
I do like it, I just was having a hard time with it.
if you can't get at it, I know that makes sense.
I got to it finally, but I got one good. I just need to.
Did
I
you
guess I
say,
do
did you
like-
say you have 2016 on your own computer?
No.
You still load geometrics, play with the 2013 or 2010 version, to be pretty similar and a lot quicker because then you're not logging into Purity and then, there's already a slight delay as it goes out to its website and comes back and says you're right or wrong.
Yeah, that's where I couldn't, it wasn't letting me submit. The mouse was like the mouse was moving, but there was a dot.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
The mouse was here, but there was a dot that was really actually, so I was having issues there. So we're done with the.
Yeah, we're done with that. So we're going to
Already
geometrics.
had- so-
We're going to do a new test.
I haven't finished my other
And we're
one
doing
yet.
training. That's fine. If you saw mine, I have like 46 unfinished tests out there. And it's down the list a little bit, but it's going to be Excel 2016 for perform operations, formulas, and functions.
Oh, should we be doing these other practice tests if we ever get it working?
What's that?
Should we be doing these other practice tests if we get it working?
And you can do these over and over too. We do it, yeah, just hit yes for that. It's just adding some downloads and then okay to the next one once it's done.
I did get a new computer, so I'm curious to see what's on it. I haven't opened the box we were in.
I don't know why that stayed up. Go ahead and hit yes and okay again. So it didn't like your login somehow?
I don't know what to do. What I was trying to show is, I had done number 4 already. I graded it. I don't know how you can see the grade or whatever.
You graded it? If you graded it, it would be your saved test.
Oh, where's it gonna be?
Be under the,
Completed test,
yeah, probably.
87.8%.
Uh-huh.
But in all of these tests, we're supposed to be getting it until we get to 100.
Passing score for certification is 70%.
Yeah.
So 86 is passing quite well.
Well, then should I start on the other tests, which are the
Let me back up for a minute. I'll just show you my list. I don't know why that's still showing that other direction. Did you use,
the core practice
did
ones?
you use the geometrics icon on your screen?
Did I?
I don't know
Yeah.
why. I don't know why you're seeing that different view. But
I went in through the student portal.
oh, I would just log in,
Okay,
like from this screen,
okay.
And when you click on new test, in Excel, training, it'll bring up the list of the things there. And these first three are the ones that I mentioned that are going to be very similar to the
Right, so
certification.
you said don't mess with those yet.
Yeah.
Right?
Until, I mean, if you're ready to, sure, feel free. Got these 5 by chapter, and then the bottom 3 are just random, lots of different questions.
That's the ones I want to do, because I already did the 5. So
Uh-huh.
I'm going to do the core skill review 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And again, the goal is to get, like this says, the minimum score is 700.
Yeah, the way they've got the score set up, 1,000 points would be perfect.
Okay.
So 700 is 70%.
Okay. So for my homework, well, in addition to chapter 5, which I think only had, just a very few,
Yeah, 5 doesn't have too much in it,
right?
pretty limited. Now, one of the other things you can
I'm trying
do,
to prep,
So what are you trying to do? You're trying to
test or prep for the test, which is going to be in a couple of weeks.
so another thing you
I
can
don't think
do
I'm ready for it, because I haven't been
is-
able to play.
from the home screen outside, taking you there. No, back up. I'm going to get you back. It's not taking me all the way back, but you know where it says testing or training, and we
always do
automatically do training here,
Mhm.
so we get the light bulb and we can
Okay,
play with
right,
it.
right.
As you're getting closer to going for it, we can do is one of those first exams. Rather than training, I would do it
In testing
in
mode.
testing mode, and then you lose the light bulb, and then he helps,
Okay.
and it also times you.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I mean, we're
So I
actually-
should do the testing mode, but on the ones I've already completed before I go to those core skills.
I probably wouldn't even worry about test mode for this stuff.
Okay.
When you're actually doing these core practice exams,
Uh-huh.
you've done them, say, once or twice,
Mm-hmm.
and then you want to do one of these in the testing mode.
I see.
Actually, in a way, it doesn't matter because, even doing these in the training mode, it still times us, but it starts
Yeah.
at 0 and goes up.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see what pace you're going at.
Okay. Pretty slow.
Well, yeah, it's pretty slow, because I'm really studying them.
Yeah.
Things.
Well, that's what I say. First time or two through it, using light bulb once in a while, great, or a lot. As you do it more and more, probably not using the light bulb too much.
Mm-hmm.
And even with the core exams, use the light bulb there too, although it's a little different because you got to scroll down
Oh,
to
right.
that bottom part to see it. So anyway, you want to do exam 4 again with us?
So, back to what you're trying to do. So how would you go through it to prepare for the test
I would probably go through all these in training.
and training? Oh, that's
and maybe
it. I
even
know
the
you were
chapter
saying
1
something about core and
Um,
stuff.
Right, I'll show you. Yeah, in that list of things. These top 3 here are the ones that are similar to what the exam would look like.
Okay, have we done those are the ones we've done or no?
No, we haven't done
Oh,
this.
we've done the 1, 2, and 3.
We've done
It's
chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ones here. I think we did play with one of these bottom ones because these are just a mix of all the questions. We might have done that, or we will do that maybe next time too, because we've only got 20 some questions for charts and objects. But these first 3 are the ones that are set up more like the
So
actual-
when we're getting closer, where we feel comfortable with 1 through 5.
Yeah, I've got, since I've saved it a few times, the core exam ones are set up a little differently. Like, did I show what they look like? I'll just show you briefly what it looks like and we'll go back in. A little different setup. So we got the same thing at the top with the Excel file, but down at the bottom it's got these project 7 of 7 in this case. Actually, see here even in training it's tiny. And these various tasks. And the task would show the information down here, what they want you to do. I didn't know what it was. I could click on the light bulb and it's hard to see it, but it's actually down below.
Yeah, you did
That.
show us.
You can actually make this a little bit larger, which I think
Yeah,
is-
you did show us that last
Yeah.
time. So we don't get the help?
No, if you did in testing, you wouldn't get the help. Doing it in training, you get the help. And save that.
I just have to get my computer working so I can practice more before I do the test. Okay, so just focus on the 1, 2, and 3s, and then when we're feeling confident, go to the 4th.
Yeah, and one of the things about these tests, If you do it 2 or 3 times for one test, you're going to get better and better at it. You're also memorizing the test a little bit too. So you want to really use it to more understand where is that button or where is that function located, how to get there. More of the process side of it.
Yeah, but I was using it more like on my personal stuff. So I'm like, oh, I want to merge. I'll play with merge or I'll do this.
Yeah,
Or stuff. So I was playing with those buttons more at
That's
home. Because that always frustrated me. Go format. Now I can.
And if you want to go at your own pace, get stuck somewhere, just let me know and I'll try to help. I'm going to walk through these two. And Jail, are you with us?
I am, but I'm not sure if you can hear me. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, question 2 is that simple one with concatenate Cain and Abel one.
Yeah, let's try it down.
Yeah, the third one's kind of goofy. Why not use the average function? They just want to show us that there's a lot of ways we can skin the cat, I guess.
very careful on this, because it says, cells F16 multiplied by 1. So I didn't put multiply by 1 without the current, plus the growth, so it's looking for the current in there.
What it's looking for is that 200 and whatever thousand
Yeah.
from the annual sales multiplied by 1 plus that 20%.
Right, somehow it's got varied, it was hard to, I guess it was the comma here. 16 and multiplied by, yeah, it was just,
Yeah,
you know, it's not
kind of
very
a
clear
wacky
whether
one.
you're supposed to have the per
It's a wacky one
multiplied by.
too, because it doesn't always work quite right. Maybe I'm gonna go to. So, yeah, because this one where they actually want it done one particular way. Because you can do it other
I know.
ways, and sometimes they'll say it's wrong. What I did was,
Yeah, it didn't make any sense that it was multiplied by 1, not by.
so I did equals, and then went and found that 297,000. Put in a times, and then I put in parentheses, 1 plus, went back to that E3, and then close the parentheses. So annual sales, the other worksheet, times 1 plus the quarterly sales, which is basically multiplied by 100%.
Right, it was just, I mean, just reading it, it wasn't very clear whether, that you needed,
Yeah,
that you should.
this is one that's
That's
a
gonna
little
be a tricky
confusing.
time on the test. Got it right.
when you get to number 19, let me know, because it's kind of a quirky one too.
Okay.
Martha, have you gotten any of those? They're still getting them.
You're checking it out. Let's see. Recall what number this machine is. Might be under your settings. We did have a little box up here that showed what the setting was.
It's like two different, what we're trying to call them now.
Yeah.
I think click on home again. And maybe system. That's where we were. There's another way to get there. I think if you right click on the Windows button in the bottom. I'm trying that one your device manager. One of them tells somewhere with this is S10 something. It's more detailed here.
So you look like scheme, I got a scheme for this room.
I don't really know.
I'm forgetting that too.
Standing device administrator to make changes. Okay.
Oh, there it is. S108. It's on you.
Load inclusive.
Okay. All right, where am I?
How often do you say they're coming up every few seconds?
Mm-hmm. And it seems like it's two different strings of numbers here. One is 167, the other I think is 149.
That's not too big.
It's not, but what I did, I just, I didn't take, it didn't get it right. Probably got the right answer, but.
Oh. This one actually, you gotta have it probably pretty much the way they say her. First time I put it in, I think I got to put in the greater than 22,500. So okay, got it right. But didn't know what I was trying to do, so still told me I got it right, but it wasn't.
So I cheated the syntax. I just did, I did the sum, but then I'm like, okay, I don't know the format, so I did C9 plus D9 since it was only 2.
Oh.
I didn't like it. I was trying to like click sum over here, see if it would automatically take it.
This is the one that
Oh, this is my new one, yeah.
it's a little bit quirky. Let me give you a little demonstration of this because this one is a little bit crazy. So what we're doing is putting an average in this box down here. So we use the average formula, but we are taking various ranges from the top to bottom. So what I'm going to do is highlight this range and then use the comma to separate it out. So D6 to D9 and the next range. So what we're doing is taking everything, not including the totals in there.
Right. Okay.
And so you got to do this a whole bunch of times using the comma. This is where that one example they mentioned is, if it's just one range, it's pretty simple. When you got multiple ranges, you got to put a comma between them. And we'll go one more. And even the blank spaces don't really matter. And when you get done, it should come out to be something like 642.73. We've done this a few times over the number. So basically, my
But
formula.
you want the blanks so that they get counted in the average.
The blanks actually don't count for anything.
Oh,
So when you actually look at it this way, this is kind of what it would look like. Because it's separating out each range. And it doesn't do anything with the zeros. It just considers it like a blank. Well, it's got blank down here, they've got zeros in there. So it actually doesn't calculate those in, I don't think.
This volume sucks. Time car sheet. 30.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Even more than one of those.
Yeah, different color now. I'm keeping track of these.
Just showing Don about this. This is kind of a weird one. So what you need to do is actually capture all those little ranges through column D with a comma between it. So it'll be like D, 3D, 6 or something like that.
So on the space bar, I mean the function bar up here.
Uh,
Because I think in the light bulb it had a different way to do that. How did it do that?
it's kind of doing the same thing.
Well, you can type them in individually, but for me, it's easier to
Just grab them.
paint over them and then put a comma between them. Well, let me show you how to do it. So I started out here with the app, whatever. And then I just went all the way up to the top, painted over this range. I'm going to use the comma then to separate out each range. In this range, the blank spaces don't matter because they don't actually calculate in there, but for this purpose, they need to be covered. That one, and finally that one. And when I enter, it gives me the number. Now, what you were doing, I think what it was suggesting, you could cut it this way, where you could go D6.
I didn't know that I could do what they don't tell me to do. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know I could do it another way.
Yeah.
I thought they were trying to get me to do it the way they want me to do it.
This is one of those where you can do it a couple different ways and they won't get you on it.
All right. All right, let me just try that again here.
I just told our guy about the request popping up. He's going to change the IP address for this.
I think he has. He's changed. He keeps putting in different numbers here.
These are actually they're random numbers coming in from a spam server somewhere where they're trying to get into us. It's set up so they can't really get in, but it's still annoying.
Keep asking. And it's right smack dab in the middle.
Yeah, he's been monitoring the ones in Gurney.
Mm-hmm.
He says he's only seen 2 in the last couple hours. Well, we're seeing a few every minute here, so I gave him the machine number too. He said, "Oh, is that in Schaumburg?" Yep, it's in Schaumburg. Got a class going.
31 is another funny one where they actually want to do it one special way.
Welcome to United Healthcare. Please say or enter your tax ID number. Thanks. When you hear the service you want, just select claims, benefits eligible. Check claim. Now, would you like to check claim status or a mailing address? You'll be able to look up multiple memory for you. So to get this started, please say or enter the first number that would you like to put. Hey, what's their date of birth? Now, are you calling about medical or behavioral health? What's the date of service on the screen? One moment while I look for claims around that date. I found one claim. Your claim. This call may be recorded for quality assurance. Would you be willing to take a claim survey? Okay, I'm transferring you to a representative. All of our representatives are currently busy. Please hold, and your call will be answered by the next available representative.
It's Angel. Angel, yes. I'm all right, and you? Lindenhurst anesthesia. The patient's name is Marissa Jettle. 10/11/18. Total charges $2,058.38. Claim processed incorrectly. This is preventive services, a routine screening colonoscopy, and it applied towards the patient's deductible, and there shouldn't be no patient responsibility. It should pay at 100%. So it needs to go back for review. They said we need to submit medical records for the date of service. Since when? Okay, you can go and check into it. You can go ahead and check into it. All right, I'll do it online in autumn. All right, thank you. Can you hear me? Hello? Man, this is super value.
There was an error in the question script.
Yeah, just click OK.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, sometimes that pops up.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't stop you. They got trouble on their side.
Oh, that's good. I thought- I got the answer right, but I got
Good.
it wrong.
Wait. This is kind of crazy one. Basically, our logical test up there is set up wrong.
I'll get the easy part done first. Maybe it's in the wrong order, but.
Yeah, actually, you go. That's 29, right?
Yeah.
The problem is,
I write it down.
it's just jazzed up, actually. This column's supposed to be calculating the difference between our costs and sales. And instead, they've got cost and sales on two lines, and then they have profitable marginal as a false value. So what we really need is the sum of our sales greater than the sum of our costs. So that first category was okay. If you look at the board here, I'll show you what I did. So that's okay, except, and if you look at the columns and everything, you see that that's what's sold. So that's our sales. This one is actually some of our costs, going from the other columns. What I did was I cut and paste this up here. It's easier than typing that whole thing in. And then I know greater than, I've got extra spacing, so when the costs are greater than the expenses, then we'll say it's profitable. Now you can either type it or put it in there. I got lazy and I kind of cut this out of here too.
paste, give it my comma, and then I change marginal. So this is actually what we really ultimately want. Some of the sales is greater than the sum of the expenses. Well, in this first one, it is, so it's true. It's going to actually show profitable. When I click OK, because it's in a table format, it actually carried that formula on down. And it's interesting to me. Oops, let me make it. You can see a lot of things are profitable. We'll find a couple here that didn't make money. There's one down here, and then way down here, there's a couple more that didn't make money. So that they spent more on their costs than they got in sales. So this is like a troubleshooting one. I think in the light bulb will probably help explain that a little bit more.
D3, I'm just confused.
Yeah, and you can
Calculation.
take a look at D3 is sales, F3 is sales, every other column is sales, and then in between every other column is the cost of the research expenses.
Oh, that's not very cool.
That's why they took
Sales exceed costs of research costs. So, okay.
it's actually 132 or 131 also. I actually have to take off pretty quickly today because I saw up from the train station.
Okay, here, just give me an autograph here on your
Oh, glad to.
timesheet, 130.
Do you want me to sign at the bottom yet? Or?
No, that's, yeah, it'll be for the month of November,
Oh,
so
okay.
it's 130.
All right.
All right, very good. Nice.
So I'm gonna grade mine because I actually finished it.
Huh?
I got too many
How was
saved
it?
ones already. And Jill, I don't know if you can hear me. I hope you're able to watch at least. I'm going to post this video shortly too. I'm going to close it down now though.